Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Down One, and I am back with another video. Uh, Everybody is using the F word when explaining what's transpiring between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. And that F word is fatigue, the tired word. Is particularly mainly for the Cleveland Cavaliers Boston Celtics series. You know, we've been hearing the word tired and fatigue in that series alone, and it's always attracted to LeBron James. LeBron James didn't even utter the word fatigue. It was someone in the press saying, do you think you're fatigued? And he says he's fine. But Tyronn Lue begged to differ. He feels like, tired or not, we're closing down to the end of this series. And if you're tired or not, hey, you're going to put it to another gear. And we got to win these next two games. Okay? Fatigue. Now, if you've been a subscriber to mine, I always talked about LeBron James. And I think LeBron James is the greatest player of this decade. Not of this century, but of this decade. Okay? The things he incorporate and embrace to a team is astonishing. Okay? He can get you with points, rebounds, assists, very athletic. IQ is off the charts. Okay, he's sort of like the Peyton Manning of the N.B.A. But the one thing, and this is not really criticism, the one thing I talked about in the past couple of years is LeBron James' body type. If you look at LeBron James and you compare him to the average NBA player, LeBron James' body structure, he kind of reminds you of a football player. Okay, LeBron James could easily play tight end in the NFL. I don't see. I just don't see how he couldn't with the body type he has, and the amount of mass and muscles that he has on that body. It requires a lot of it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of blood flow. It requires a lot of fluids to stay hydrated. You can point out in LeBron James' career, most notably when they played the Houston Rockets, the infamous, they cut the air conditioner off in the stadium, and LeBron James cramped up, even though other players wasn't experiencing any type of cramping issues. But like I always tell people, LeBron James' body structure and his muscles and his just the mass of him, it requires a lot more to get that motor going. It requires a lot more blood flow. It requires a lot more fluids. You have to constantly keep that body hydrated at all times. Okay? And it also requires rest. Okay? I felt like LeBron James was trying to get the most minutes, in his career and play all 82 games, which is fine and all if you want to have that stat, if you want to have that achievement. But be careful what you wish for. In the playoffs, it's a different animal, and I felt like they should have shut LeBron James down in the final 5 or maybe 10 games of the regular season, and let him have some rest, most notably with the Toronto Raptors, because the Toronto Raptors had no answer for LeBron James. LeBron James was just pretty much having his way. He was toying with the Toronto Raptors, and I felt at least in that series he should have sat down for more rest to prepare him for the next series. Because now more than ever, they need LeBron James. When LeBron James goes, the whole team goes. Okay? and they need LeBron James more than ever. They can't depend. They can't depend on J.R. Smith because he's streaky at best, and streaky is being modest. Okay, as well as Kevin Love. Kevin Love, even though he gives you spurts, they're not spurts you can constantly depend on a game in, game out basis. And Rodney Hood is streakish. Larry Nance Jr. gives you the muscle, gives you the athleticism, but that's pretty much it. Okay, as well as the other new additions that they acquired in the trade deadline. They're a lot younger. They're more flexible with rosters. They can mix and match. And they're more athletic than the team that they currently had with Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, and the rest of those cats. Okay? But they're lacking in experience, and they're lacking in next man up. Because when LeBron James has a off night, they're going to lose that game. Okay? No one else can have an answer on the offensive end. Now, some data was researched that LeBron James is the most slowest player in the playoffs. And, that's due to him when on the defensive side, where he's not really exerting a lot of energy. He's not doing, if you notice, he's not doing a lot of moving. He's pretty much staying pat to what in the center or sometimes on the left side. And he's not running after his opponent. Okay. As well as on the offensive side of things, he's not in ISO mode. I mean, he mix and matches. Sometimes he's in ISO mode. Other times he's not. But now more than ever, he should really depend slowing the game down. Okay. And getting your low post offense on display is where you need to be. Is what you need to be doing right now. Michael Jordan, from age I say 31 to 34, that ISO, not the ISO, the low post often when you take the man down below and you back him as close to the basket as possible. Michael Jordan made a name for that, okay? Because Michael Jordan realized he got a lot older. He's not as athletic as he once was. So it's now it's time to utilize other things in your arsenal. And I think LeBron James needs to do the same. The days of LeBron James running down the court like a locomotive, being explosive to the basket, I think those days are over with. And if he wants to save and reserve a lot of energy, he's going to have to add that to his resume. If not this summer, then never. Okay? I think LeBron James should have added this a couple of years ago, most notably with the Miami Heat. He tried it in different occasions with the Miami Heat, but he decided that's not for him. Okay? Because at that time, he was still athletic. He was still in his prime. And that LeBron James can play on both sides of the court. This version of LeBron James can only play on one side of the court because he demands a lot of offense. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, they're going to blame these losses on his supporting cast. His supporting cast, and you have to understand the reason why LeBron James has this supporting cast is because of LeBron James. LeBron James wanted the Cleveland Cavaliers organization to sign J.R. Smith to an extension, Christian Thompson, the max, to an extension. So those two players are not going anywhere, as well as Kevin Love. He wanted the Cleveland Cavaliers to re-sign Kevin Love. So now you're stuck with these three contracts. Okay, so you're not going to have a lot of flexibility to add more to the roster. Not to mention, they pretty much gave away their future, other than that 18 pick from the Brooklyn Nets that Kyrie Irving trade. But LeBron James wanted Dwayne Wade. He wanted Derrick Rose. Okay? He wanted those older veteran players because he thought that those players can add a little bit more to their roster. Yes, he wanted to make it work out with Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving saw the writing on the wall. If they had another unsuccessful season like what they're currently on the path of right now, then LeBron James is going to leave him high dry with all of these players that are, let's just say it, and face facts and face reality, LeBron James players, because they're not going anywhere. Okay? So, yes, I think if it's not the end in this series, I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers have enough to beat the Golden State Warriors. That's a sweep. And they may win one or two games with the Houston Rockets, but I feel like the Houston Rockets, as long as they don't have any setbacks, they should have no problem either beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers really don't have anybody to D up James Harden, and a lot of their players can rest up D'ing up on Chris Paul. Okay, but those other players are just like the Cleveland Cavaliers players. When they're on, they're on, and the way how they move the ball up and down the court, that's a recipe that LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers do not want to compete against. Okay, they really do want to slow down the tempo, and they're the worst team defensive than anybody that's left standing with the four remaining. Okay, but I feel like if you had to pin me on the wall and say, hey, who do you think is going to win Game 6? I think all the motivation is for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, the Boston Celtics, excuse me. If the Boston Celtics get a lead and the Cleveland Cavaliers can't even get the lead cut in half, then it's all bets are off. Those those Boston Celtics, them young guys, they're going to see that scoreboard and they're going to make sure they're going to win because they want to close this game out on Game 6 rather than waiting and taking it to Boston for Game 7. Okay? But, guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One, and I am out, y'all.